Dr. Randall, the Soul Doctor, author of Soul Doctoring, Heal Yourself, Heal the Planet, shares her 40 years of experience as a cross-cultural practitioner, medical futurist, and expert in 20 different modalities of healing, along with amazing interviews with some of the leading minds in medicine and big thinkers in all walks of life. The stories of our lives are the woven energies of our soul's paths. They feed and ignite the spiritual light that nourishes the universal soul, the one mind, the cosmic consciousness where we all come together. This podcast is going to be a deep dive into the personal stories of people who have made significant contributions to the planet. What formed them? What moved them to become these leaders and innovators that inspire us so? Hi, Sara.
Hello.
How are you today?
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah, I so miss you, even though I do get to talk to you from time to time when you help me with my issues. But
yeah, I missed you too. Gosh, we were working so closely together, particularly last autumn.
Yeah. How long have we been working together?
It's been a year.
That's all? Gosh, it seems like so much longer.
Yeah, and it was great meeting you in person and having lunch together. I felt like, here's an old friend.
Yeah. Well, you got to come back when you come back, when you're doing your back and forth concierge thing. But let me introduce Sara Gepp. She and I have been working together for a long time. And Sara is the founder of Close to the Earth IT Services based in Malibu, California, although now she's kind of back and forth. She's in Oklahoma and California. She can tell us about that. She is an Apple certified member of the Apple Consultants Network and Apple ACN Advisory Board. And as I know it, that's not an easy thing to accomplish. She knows so much and she's so modest, because that was the extent of the bio that she sent me. And I, just by following her on her Instagram, and those that follow her know her to be so much more. In addition to being the founder of Close to the Earth, let me tell you, when you get her on the phone, you think you're talking to your best friend, even if it's the first time you ever called her. And of course, when you call her, it's usually because your computer has gone down or something and you're not a happy camper. But just the way she says hello and the way she handles you, you always get off that phone feeling like a better person. So I just think that's so unique about her. She's not one of these people you call about your computer and they want you to wipe your disk and then they'll talk to you. It's somebody that's really there to help you in a real way. But she's so much more. She like, I saw some posts recently, she asking people about their purpose in life. Are you going to do what you're supposed to be doing today? She asked people. And another post was on her scholarship award for women in IT, which she got from the ACES conference in 2019, was it? Mm-hmm. That's pretty incredible. And she also makes posts like an ethical personal assistant, or I think she worked with a company called Humane. But she's also an activist and she cares a lot about the planet, and you'll see her make posts about that. She cares about the earth. She cares about health. She did a TikTok on Women Make Room for the IT initiative. In other words, get into IT. You're unique, visible, wonderful, and smart, and the world needs you. She's so encouraging. And then she had another one called Know Your Own Body, and she helps us know what are the best tracking systems. She helps us know what the best Photoshop systems, just all around with all IT things. She's an expert and she shares it with us, and it's no charge. She just does that on her Instagram. She even put forth about Juneteenth, the day of recognition, restoration and celebration. Of course, that was the celebration of the end of slavery. You might like to check out my recent podcast on 100 Years from Mississippi about Mamie Kirkland and her She went back to Mississippi at the age of 107. She left Mississippi at the age of 100, and all of the events that affected Black people in our country, happened during her lifetime. And they were going to hang her and they were going to hang her father and her father's best friend. And so they fled to the north, and then they found the same thing. There were riots about the Blacks moving in because they were taking their jobs. The hangings, the lynchings, actually, in a major way, affected the demographics of Black people in this nation. And a lot of people don't know that. And I'm going to go to the premiere. It's just here in Los Angeles at the Japanese Theater. I think it's next week. So I'll probably be putting some photo op pictures of myself and the filmmaker Tarabu Betseri up about that. But it's an important film. You can get your tickets. Go to that website, 100 Years from Mississippi, and you can get tickets to watch it virtually also. But it's won several first place documentaries already. And she thinks globally, and so she even put up a post: think globally, act locally. So I'm just so impressed with her as a human being, as well as her services, which she is, like I said, a unique, because she's like calling your best friend, help me. She's so friendly. I love it.
Oh, thank you. And I just want to clarify that I never worked for the company called Humane, but I just think it's a really interesting company that's starting up.
Oh, I see. I thought you worked with them or not.
No, I applied for a job there and had one interview, but it wasn't a fit because they want someone who lives in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. But I just think it's a cool company. And thank you so much for the kind words.
Well, it's all real, so only speak the truth. So really nice. Why did you get into this? Why did you get into this area in the very first place?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the turning point was I was working remotely. I had moved to Malibu in 2009 from Venice, and I was working remotely for a computer company that was based in Luxembourg. Mm-hmm. And work was slowing down a little bit, and I picked up a job being a personal assistant for someone who was from that area. A European person who came to Malibu for, I think she was here for like 9 months and needed a personal assistant who was very high tech. So I got a sort of by a fluke, picked up that job, and there were a lot of tech requirements for that job. And I was always at the Apple store. And I had remembered from when I worked at an Apple store that there was a certification course that you could take to become an extension of the Genius Bar. It's kind of like a Genius Bar person, but out of the field, like out of the store. So I started asking about that within the Apple store, and they were very supportive. The people who worked there, who I was always seeing, because I was always at the Genius Bar, they supported me in going for that certification track. So after the client had gone back to Europe, I got certified, and that's how I got into it. In 2014, I opened my business, and the first clients were from the Malibu Times newspaper. And that's so great. It's been pretty interesting ever since.
And then you've done a lot of in-home kind of, or in-business concierge type work as well, or?
Yeah, the clientele in Malibu, a lot of people don't like to go into an office, even if they have a headquarters in Santa Monica. It's just a lot of traffic and a lot of wasted time. So many people have a home office, and they really need to have all of the systems in place that they would in a fully equipped office, no matter where it is. So I did a lot of networking, setting up computers, of course, printing and document transfers and things like that, making sure all of the computers were maintained. Even if it was 1 or 2 or 3 computers, you'd have to treat it like it was a large office.
It just seems like you're always up on the most, useful tools, and you share them with us. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. I want people to have a sense of agency and a sense of ability, a sense of ownership with technology, because so often it that agency and that sense of identification goes to kind of like dudes, and if you're not a white dude who's just feeling comfortable, like tech is just for them, it's marketed for them, it's marketed directly to them, all of that agency and all of that ability and all of that feeling of consumer product fit is just 100% geared toward them. And if you don't fit that mold, then you might have a feeling that the products aren't for you, that cutting edge technology is not for you. And it absolutely is. Those tools can be our superpowers, and we all deserve that.
Nice. Now, I noticed recently you had to post something about you're going to be giving a free course on IT tools or something. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I started my newsletter up again. For a long time, I would send out weekly tips and tricks. But, as soon as the pandemic hit, I just saw in my own inbox such an uptick in ads and emails that I just kind of chilled out on that, because I just thought, I don't think people want another email. But I decided to send out an exploratory email this last week. I sent it to 1,000 people who are on my email list and just said, here's the button. If you want to unsubscribe, just push the unsubscribe button. If you want to stay with me, I'm going to be sending you tips every single week for at least a little something that you can learn in 2 minutes. And no one unsubscribed. So I'm going to be sending out tiny tech tips every Tuesday. So if you would like to join my email list, just DM me, find me. You can sign up on my website, or you can DM or comment TTT on any of my posts, and I can give you instructions to join the email newsletter.
Oh, definitely. I want it.
Okay, great.
So and is that the course, or was the course something different?
I'm going to focus at first on the top 8 things that people ask me about. And I just really kind of went through all of the things that people most frequently ask about. And it comes down to personal security, how to maintain their computer and devices, how to be the most safe and secure that they can online, and how to save and store passwords safely.
Beautiful.
As well as protecting your accounts.
Uh-huh. Beautiful. And then do you also teach people how to work with graphics at all, or?
I live stream at least every week. So while I do things like create content, I have a few clients that have retained me to create content for them, do videos for clients, and also like any kind of visual graphics. So while I'm doing that, I do kind of like a teaching stream where I'll show people how to do that. So I go live on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and just stream what I'm doing so that people can kind of pick it up or become familiar with the tools that I'm using, just to demystify an Instagram post. Maybe it looks complex and complicated and hard to make, but if you see all the steps, maybe you can put your own spin on it and create something really interesting.
Wow. Yeah, I'd like to know how to do that.
Yeah.
I also see you on Clubhouse.
Yeah, I really enjoy 2 rooms on Clubhouse. For me, it's kind of hit or miss, because there are a lot of people I find that do a lot of bragging on Clubhouse, and I'm not so attracted to that, but it's a great way to network with other content creators. And I do get a lot of value out of connecting with people who are making content, maybe people who are in the social media space or the creator economy. I'm very interested in that.
Good. And you're planetary minded, I've noticed.
Well, I mean, where else are we going to go? There's no planet B.
I know, but not everybody's like us,
Well, I mean, you kind of have to be. I mean, only last night, people in Louisiana were hit with a bigger hurricane than Katrina. There were like 155-mile-an-hour winds hitting ground there, and just really putting out some good energy and prayers for those people, and plan to donate where I can.
Yeah, we need to. I mean, the last one, I knew some people that were stuck in their homes, and their homes were full of water. So they're on the very top floor, and the alligators had taken over the lower floors. Can you imagine?
No.
And they couldn't leave. There was no way to leave. They were locked down.
Oh my gosh.
So he said to wait for the water to go down, and crazy.
Whoa. Hopefully the alligators could walk out. I hope so. That's terrifying.
Well, they're in the water. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know how it is. When the power's out for a week, all of your food is gone, everything in your freezer. There could be mold. That I've seen a lot of content you've created about mold and being careful of what you're breathing in. And so it's just got a knock-on effect.
No, once it's wet, it's going to mold. Yeah. And then I have been through that. So it's a huge, huge problem. It's like having cancer. You got to cut it out. It's the only thing you can do. Anyway, God bless them. And yes, let's say prayers for them, mainly for their lives and well-beings and survival and their family and friends. So that's the main thing we got to do.
And the wake-up call for the planet. The planet is really crying out that we're not treating her right.
She's just trying to speak to us. Mm-hmm. And we're going to keep getting it until we listen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Climate change and pandemics and all of it. It's all part of us not being guardians of this planet as we agreed to be.
Yeah, I think you make a very good point. And people ask me often, well, why do you call your company Close to the Earth? That has nothing to do with IT. They're just like, yeah, it has everything to do with IT, because the technology sector is on its way. If we don't do something to be a bigger energy consumer than the entire transportation industry, including planes, trains, automobiles, anything that moves around, barges, container ships. So we've got to really be aware and cognizant of how we are using technology, and be aware as consumers to know, hey, what companies are doing, carbon neutral or carbon negative transactions, like Google searches, or I use Ecosia to search. All of those search engines have another component, which is that they're data centers, and data centers require a huge amount of power. So there's a choice that we have as people who are on the user side to choose wisely and take that option, so that we're more aware, to realize the cloud isn't just, it's just, where is it? It's a data center. So we've got to be mindful of how that energy comes to be.
Mm-hmm. So what's your recommendation in that regard?
Google is carbon neutral. They are doing like a net zero emissions in all of their data centers. So even though you want to evaluate how you use Google products, like with search, I use a search engine called Ecosia, ECOCIA. And they plant trees to offset their carbon usage and their energy usage. And they also invest in solar powered data centers. Google is, like I said, like a net zero emissions company. So is Apple. They are really focused on creating ecologically sound practices, and that's really important. I'm sure there are other companies that are doing the same. Mm-hmm. But I think that knowing how to maintain and using your products for as long as you can is really the key. The reduction of consumption. is the key. And that comes with maintenance and making sure that our computers and devices don't get overrun or bogged down by things that we could mitigate so that we can use them for longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw a woman make a comment about you. I think it was online, that she came to you with a 5-year-old Mac and she thought for sure she was going to have to throw it away. And she went away from your work with her with a computer that was better than one she could buy now. So she was really happy about that.
Yeah, there's a lot we can do with computers that are older.
Mm-hmm. And then what if one is ready, to retire? What's the best way to recycle that? Or
yeah, great question. Best Buy has a program for recycling. So you can recycle your computer at Best Buy. Apple has a computer recycling program. There are independent companies like Gazelle is one. Another one is, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name. There are companies that will buy your devices back. So either if you have either computers or phones or iPads, the companies will buy them back and give them a second life.
Mm-hmm.
eBay is a great place to reduce waste. So you can resell your old items and give them another life with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, in the Mac world at least, a lot of people sort of resell their equipment and find that their usable life is a lot longer than a PC, for example.
Mm-hmm. And because
that's why I prefer Mac.
Because people in other countries are happy to have these devices, even if they're older too.
Yeah, domestically and internationally, there's a big demand for Apple products. I was surprised. I met someone from Peru and we bonded on the iPhone. I helped her buy an iPhone. And she was saying that the taxes are incredibly high, just the tariffs, and like import taxes for buying an Apple product or even an American product.
Mm-hmm.
The cost was really high due to the taxes that they kind of like add on to the purchase.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so products can last a lot longer. But even the new iOS 15 that is coming out, like I've been experimenting with this iPhone 6. This is like a rose gold iPhone 6 from I think 2016 or 2017. And I've been testing the latest operating system on this phone and it's working very well. So you don't need to have the latest, greatest brand new phone. So just maintain your stuff. And there are ways to get new batteries. If your battery is kind of like old and not working as well, you can get the battery replaced. And you can still continue to use the latest software.
Mm-hmm. Good to know. Good to know. I use the granddaughter recycling program.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It's a very effective recycling program.
Yeah, because they're so happy to get new phones. And
yeah.
Since I do a lot of social, I need to have really good pictures. So I did get an upgraded phone for the camera, I guess. So, but there's
and as I recall, you waited for a while to get an upgrade anyway.
Oh, yeah, I did wait for a long time. I know you were encouraged. Everybody was telling me.
You did need to get a new phone. I mean, you don't want to deprive yourself of something that you need in order to think about, oh no, am I going to be hurting the earth? Like, there's got to be some kind of a balance.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you were mentioning, recycling is the best way to go. So, and there's somebody who wants that phone for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Even if it's a phone that you think is old and useless, or if it's beat up, someone still wants it waiting.
So where do you think we're going now in the future with all of this technology? And
yeah, I mean,
it seems like it's been a big boon for us during this pandemic because nobody's been able to go out. I mean, we've been able to get a lot of stuff done, right? So, and now it looks like people are actually preferring to do it this way, may actually stay this way, rather than going into work and things like that. But I mean, what do you see like for the benefit of humanity and the planet going forward with technology?
I think the most important thing, the next most important chapter is going to be to take away the screen. And so, on personal devices, personal communication devices, you mentioned that company, well, that I've been posting a lot about, Humane. They haven't even come out with a product yet, but they're so revolutionary because they're going to be delivering or developing a product, or I should say a device, we think, that does everything that a smartphone does, but it does not have a screen for you to look at. So it uses the same technology, LiDAR scanning, that self-driving cars and trucks are trending to use, or anticipated to use, I should say. So they're using that spatial scanning software in order to scan the environment and provide information without looking at a screen. So let's say your personal digital assistant or Siri would work, for example, but you wouldn't be always looking at a screen. You'd just be able to take in your environment and get all of the benefits that you would want to from a phone, but you could still be aware and present and making eye contact with people and just be in a room. There's so many people, including myself. I'm kind of guilty of this too. My husband will be like, "Did you hear what I just said? You were talking?" Because I'm so like scrolling in the phone.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it too. But I think that's going to be the biggest thing that is changing, because there are so many artificial intelligence applications that are evolving, and there are ways that machine learning is trending toward being more effective than it ever has been before. And quantum computing is becoming a thing. I don't know a lot about quantum computing, but it has to do with doing a whole lot more on a computer chip, for example, than we were ever able to do in the past because of these quantum computing breakthroughs. So it'll be like 8 computers in one.
Interesting. So is robotics involved in that at all, or?
I mean, to some degree, but I kind of think of robotics as being maybe like a humanoid figure or some kind of like replication of an animal or a human or something that can replace an animal or a human. Maybe that's my limited scope of robotics, that it emulates an object that already exists and computerizes that object.
Well, they're using robotics, for instance, for inside farming, which uses 90% less water and never touched by human hands. And, it's incredibly, I sit on the board for a company called Willow. It's amazing. It's all done robotically, and the lights are UV, and it basically takes the pressure off the earth by not even involving it. So you don't get any of the toxicities, and they have a great product. So but my granddaughter is interested in robotics, and there are these machines that do tasks, and of course medicine uses robotics to do surgeries and things, and somehow they're way more efficient and cause less damage. Yeah, but I wonder what the no screen effect will have on the consumer, because right now so many people get their Instagram popularity through images, or I'm sorry, but women showing their bodies, things like that, which I'm sort of, I don't do that, but I'm a doctor, so that wouldn't be in my alignment with my ethical, view of myself or what I want to, project. But, a lot of women, that's how come their Instagrams are popular, and they have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers and it's really about their breasts, I'm sorry, but and so they could probably walk into a publishing company and get a book like just for the followers, and that it skews our intelligence in a way. It skews our focus. What happened to the Pulitzer Prize for value of literature, things like that. So, but people like to look at pictures. So,
yeah, that's true. I don't think the advent of no screen, sort of personal digital assistants or communication devices will take away from the screen. I just think it'll be two different devices.
Be something
Forever, I picked up the phone and talked on the phone, and it had a cord and it plugged into the wall.
Exactly.
That didn't have a screen.
That's when you actually could hear on the phone.
Yeah. It seems like the iPhone does everything but actually work as a phone sometimes.
Yeah. The reception on those old black phones with the dials, I'm old enough to remember them. I mean, it was like the person was in the next room. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I call it the Malibu waltz. 1, 2, 3, drop. 1, 2, 3, drop. And you can call back. What about that? What do you think about 5G, for instance?
I just think it's another technology.
So you don't think it's this villainous thing that everybody's painting it to be that causes disease and all this other stuff?
Honestly, no. I mean, it's just like they're radio waves. Radios don't cause any diseases that I know.
Well, radio frequency can cause. That's why I get these little cancelers and I put them on my stuff. I don't know if it really works, but it's supposed to make it safer.
Yeah, when I was in audio engineering school, we studied frequencies quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot more up on the frequencies than I am now.
Yeah, because radio frequencies are known to heal. And they're also, I guess, known to cause damage. So, I don't know.
Yeah, the jury's out on that one. I guess we'll have to wait and see. No, you need a lot more. You need, because it's a shorter waveform, you need more towers that are closer together than you did with previous technologies, but you also get the benefit of better data transfer speeds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it really depends. I'm not sure. I don't really believe that it's doing all of the damage that people say it is. I just have a hard time believing that.
Yeah. So what is your passion right now with this area of work that you're in?
I think the machine learning and artificial intelligence areas are really interesting. I'm interested in the next chapter, how people might become, because things change so quickly and because things go in and out of popularity, I think people are going to get really bored with the scrolling and the cell phones. That's why I think this company, Humane, is so interesting. Doing the screen-free phone or the screen-free personal assistant kind of device. I think that's just going to be really, really the way that we go in the future. I think we're really used to having information right close at hand.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the whole screen thing is just going to get old for people.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I see things going, because it just takes you out of the real world and puts you into the phone zone. And I think people are really going to find that passé in short order.
I hope so. You see people walking along the street and they could be with 4 or 5 other people, but they're not even talking to each other. They're into their phone.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened to me so many times where I've been walking and someone walks right into me. Right smack into me when I'm walking down the street. So it just amazes me. I just remember too, I was at a plant sale. It was just like at the university. This was like, before the pandemic, there was like a plant sale inside their greenhouse. And someone literally they were so engrossed in their phone, they walked into me and kept walking.
Oh my goodness.
And I shouted at the person, and I was like, hey, stop. And they were like, just, oh, how dare you yell at me? I was just like, walking over me.
Yeah, you can see why it's so incredibly dangerous to drive. People drive while looking on their phones or texting or something.
It just happens so much. I've seen many people in Oklahoma doing the thing where they just have the phone up to their ear and kind of like go like this and drive.
That's against the law here.
Yeah, I guess it's not against the law here. Or maybe it is, and people don't care. But I'm just like, oh my gosh! I remember when people were doing that in the 90s, driving those big Ford Explorers and going like this with the big Nokia brick phone. Here we go.
Breaker 6'9", right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Anyway, yeah, it's got they got to reinforce that more because that's so dangerous. So many accidents are caused by that.
Yeah, and with LiDAR scanning and machine learning and those personal assistants going toward more of like an audio experience and not a visual experience, it will be so much
safer.
So much safer, yeah.
Be great.
Yeah.
Then maybe it'll like transfer over to your car.
Totally.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah, like in the new cars, how they're all equipped with some sort of navigation and personal assistant component to help you drive, to kind of slow your car down, to make sure that you're not going to hit anything, maybe even apply the brakes if something's right in front of you or warn you.
Mm-hmm. Well, my car does that now.
Yeah.
I
think that's really helpful.
Oh, yeah. So scares me sometimes though, because like it really won't be that close, but my car decides it is, and so it slams on the brake.
Oh, that's not good.
Well, I'd rather do that than not, but
or like the little coffee cup comes up, take a break.
I don't have that one, but so what's your dream? What's your personal dream? And what's your dream for us as a collective, as a planet?
Oh my gosh. I think I think I have to go macro a little bit first because it's been on my mind, like my own personal prayers and spiritual reflection. I've just been thinking about how an awakening, universal awakening would be so beneficial to recognize or maybe even reverse our position on health, taking care of ourselves and each other and the planet. I think that's the biggest dream that I have, that I would love to see in my lifetime, the reversal of climate change and sort of this awakening of compassion for each other, no matter what our background is or if we speak the same language, that there's this universal compassion that comes through, and not only in attitude, but also in actions. So maybe that might look like taking the next year to really take COVID seriously and socially distance and mask and make sure that we're thinking about getting vaccinated, or, if that's not something that we choose to do, to definitely be aware of how we can protect others. I think that was the biggest wake-up call of the pandemic, is that you can protect someone else, it seems, with PPE better than you can protect yourself, or at least at the start of this. And we can really see how sadly, people didn't have a concern to protect other people, or chose to really go strongly into denial rather than to be proactive to help others to be safe, for example. I would like to see that change. And of course, climate change, just to be more conscious of how we're using and consuming, using, and producing energy. Personal dream, where I would like to be in the 5-year plan, I'm not sure. I mean, I just ask the universe to show me exactly where I'm supposed to be. One thing I would really like to do is to get into venture capital, like ethical investing, and help maybe smaller companies to get funding and to be of service to the greater good. Companies that are underrepresented, especially like women-owned business, people of color, people in the GLBTQ plus community who don't see a lot of monetary funding for their ideas, no matter how great and powerful they are. I would like to see that level playing field. That's definitely something that I would like to be a part of. And I think the creator economy is really exciting. So as far as like personal goals and where I'd like to be as far as my tech career, I think those two things. I, of course, love helping people with technology and helping people to find their own personal agency and personal empowerment within what they're able to do with technology. That's really important to me. But I wonder if there's a larger way that I can be of service to people. And that's kind of what I'm praying about at the moment. Like, where can I be most useful?
Mm-hmm. That's very beautiful. Of course, I love the first part of what you said, because, that's the main teaching in my book is the self-healing, and then turning. Once you get that pretty much together, there's just no question about turning and, having that beneficial intent for the planet. And if we all get that together, or the majority of us, or a mass collective, things will begin to change right away. And then the action that follows will bring it home.
Yeah, that's something that I really got from your book too. Thank you for allowing me to read the manuscript. It was so powerful how you talked about your foundational experiences of really searching for meaning and asking those big questions as a young person about how you could be of service and how you could think about the world in a more broad way, and maybe not just, you had the opportunity to be on this self-seeking path of being a doctor and a professor and, dotting all the T's and, dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. But then this bigger calling was reaching you, and that you went on so many quests to find answers as a young person, and even went out by yourself into the woods, seeking truth and answers and facing your own fears. I just think that was so powerful. And what you've been able to do with health, healing, and really your whole mission is so powerful. I was very inspired by your book. I hope everyone reads it.
Oh, that's
everyone.
That's so sweet of you. Thank you. Well, I never stop, and I'm always looking for the next great adventure that's going to bring us along, and I'm going to share that with everybody. And so I have that podcast now, of course, which you're on, which brings people together because I believe people's stories are part of the collective consciousness. And when they've done things that other people haven't done, like you do, like you're doing, and other people hear that story, it's going to lift their consciousness. And it's all about all of us lifting our consciousness together to get to that place of the one mind, the one planet. So thanks for being on my show.
Yeah, it was an honor. Thank you so much.
I love this. All right, honey. So stay in touch. I hope I don't have anything break too soon, but I always enjoy talking to you.
Oh, likewise.
All right. And we'll definitely do some more work together soon.
Yeah, that sounds great. Let me know, when we're going to start your TikTok.
That's it. TikTok.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
All right, Sarah. You're always amazing. Love you.
Likewise. Love you too. I'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye, honey.
Bye.
I'm Dr. Gail Randall, creator and host of Soul Stories. I just want to thank you for listening to my podcast. I recently got a notification from the International Podcast People, and I was astounded that so many countries are listening to my podcast in the category of alternative health. So thank you, and please continue to listen. I especially want to thank Egypt, Croatia, Japan, and Switzerland, also France and Ireland, because my numbers were quite high there. So keep up the good work and check out my Instagram at Dr. Gail Randall, and particularly check out my Instagram TV, where you can hear me talking about alternative medicine subjects and also see me. It's a very good show, and I think you'll like the subjects. It's on 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Friday, but it's recorded there, so you can find it there anytime you look. Okay, thanks again. I love you guys. This is Dr. Gail Randall from Soul Stories, and author of Soul Doctoring, Heal Yourself, Heal the Planet. I want to thank Saltology, our sponsor, at bathsalt.com, which fits perfectly into my medicine bag as it, like me, calls upon the ancient wisdom and modern technology to heal, especially with the stresses and ills of our modern times. The Bokek brand uses organic salts combined with organic essential oils sourced from ancient Egypt to provide a perfect remedy for your bathing ritual and healing from modern stresses. The Relief RX brand is a unique one-of-a-kind healing salt that uses organic CBD, treated with a unique emulsification process to create nanoparticles which easily enter the skin to most effectively heal and relieve aching muscles and joints. Whether from chronic inflammation or just a rough workout, this is the perfect healing bath, especially when you add the organic essential oils of neroli, lavender, eucalyptus, or grapefruit. Your body, mind, and soul will be lifted and soothed like never before. Go now to bathsalt.com. I also want to give special thanks to Larry Antonino and Agora Borealis Recording Studio for music and score, and also to closetotheearth.com for IT and computer assistance.